Hi everybody, welcome to Dandelion Cottage and Paper Crafting Saturday. I'm Leslie Watkins. Today I want to do a little experimenting with some textures and techniques. And I don't know if it's going to work or not. I'm going to take you along for the process. But I have a piece here of the Fluid 100 watercolor paper. This is a half sheet, so it measures 3.5 by 5. I've got a scrap here of Bumblebee, and I have a card base. And I'll probably be using a few other items, but I don't know what they are just yet. Let me just give this a better crease here. I see I'm off center. There we go. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to use some heat embossing. I have a few things out. I have the Hive 3D embossing folder, and I have the Honeybee Home stamps and dies. Okay, this is a fabulous bundle. If you haven't looked at it, check it out. And I've got the Nature's Harvest stamp set out because it has this really nice blotch on it. And sometimes you just need a blotch, and today I'm going to use that. Just checking my settings here, making sure that it's working. Hi Carol, hi Kelly, good morning. So I also have, and I don't know if I'm going to use this or not, but I have this stamp set called Wildflower Path because it has this lovely quote here by Ralph Waldo Emerson, who's a favorite of mine. And I really like it. It says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." And that's kind of what I'm doing today with creativity because I don't know where I'm going. So hopefully there'll be an interesting result that may inspire you to do something similar or to come up with a better solution than I do. So to that end, if you do something like what I'm doing today, please post it so I can see what you do. We all learn from one another, and that's really one of the most exciting things about doing these Facebook Lives, to show process, because we're all one big community and it's so interesting to see what everybody comes up with. So what I want to do is I want to create some kind of a abstract kind of a background that will evoke the idea of a beehive. And I want it to have, hold on a second, I need to get my block. I want it to have some sparkle, so I want to have some bling. So I'm going to start off by using my gold heat embossing powder. All right, so it's going to get a little bit noisy here, and I will have to mute the iPad for a second. But first, I'm just going to leave my website up here. So if you're interested in finding out about the upcoming workshops that I have, please go to dandelioncottagedesign.com and subscribe to Notes, because I have some very, very special things coming right up and you don't want to miss it. So hang on while I get my heat embossing powder out. Okay, so I've got my Versamark ink, which is the sticky ink. which is going to cause the powder to stick to my card here. So I'm going to get my stamp. Oh, you can't see what I'm doing. Hang on, I'll zoom you out a little bit more. Okay. So I'm just going to put some random splotches, and I'm going to make a mess here, so let's just do this. So I'm just going to put this wherever. Let them overlap here and there. The edge. All right, let's see what that does for us. Okay, so far so good. I like that a lot. That's a very interesting stamp. So again, it's this one from the Nature's Harvest, and if you haven't used that stamp yet, I would suggest that you experiment with it. It's a really great stamp for this sort of thing, and we don't often get a stamp that looks like that, so that's another reason why you might like the Nature's Harvest bundle, which is another very nice one. All right, so there's my heat embossing. Now this is the point where I'm going to mute the camera here, so bear with me. Okay, we're back, and I think you can hear me. Well, a lot more people. We've got Ginger, Vicky, Deb. Hey, Deb. And Sandra. Ginger, I have sent you a number of invitations to join the Watercolor Card Club group. and I don't know if you're getting them or not. If you can check around and see if you can find those so I can get you into the group so that you can access all the materials there. For those of you who don't know, I have a watercolor card club, which is a monthly subscription where you get a card kit in the mail from me and a video tutorial of how to paint a different natural subject each month. And we have a live Zoom, and we have a really nice Facebook group where you can access all sorts of links and materials lists and other information, post your pictures. And again, you can find out more about that at dandelioncottagedesign.com. Just click on the tab that says Watercolor Card Club. And it's a lot of fun. And actually, this month coming up, which is February, we're going to be featuring honeybees and probably some sort of a floral design. And as you can see here today with the project that I'm working on, I'm kind of obsessed by honeybees at the moment because I've got this really fabulous workshop that I'm developing, and there's going to be a lot of moving pieces to it, and so this abstract design that I'm working on today may become part of it. So so stay tuned for that, and I will post all the links to all these different things after the video today. So that'll save you a little bit of time to find out where all these things are. Okay, so what I have here are some inks. So these are the water-based refill inks that we use for the stamp pads. And I've got some brushes here. I've got my water painters, so I'm just going to grab that middle one, the medium round brush. And I'm going to need my spritzer for this. So now that I have my watercolor paper heat embossed with this wonderful gold splotchy design, I'm going to go ahead and spritz it. So I'm just going to do this off camera because I don't want water everywhere. A little bit more. That looks pretty good actually. Okay. All right. And I'll just move that around. This is very saturated now. There's a pool of water on top of the surface of the paper. And I'm just going to take some yellow and kind of swirl that around. So this is a fairly dense yellow. I'm not using a lot of water on the brush. I'm allowing the water that I spritzed on the paper to move the color around. I'm going to add a little bit of red to that. Okay. Okay. Actually, let me see if I can soften this edge a little bit. Go. I just want to push that ink onto the edges as well. Alright, I'm going to need a paper towel, clean this up, put my inks away so we don't have an incident. And I am going to get my heat gun out again and see if I can just dry off a little bit of this excess moisture. So once again, I'm going to mute the camera here, so just bear with me. Okay, so that's much drier, but it's still slightly damp, and I want it to be very slightly damp because I'm going to put this through the 3D folder now. So here is the cut and emboss machine. Get that on there. There you go. I'm going to switch out my plates. I'm using the number 1 and the number 4 plate, and I'm using this this Hive 3D folder, and this is one of the items that comes with that Blessings. What is it? Home. Oh brother, I forgot. Home and Heart collection, and it's the one that the Honeybee home is in the new JJ Mini catalog. So I'm just going to grab my folder, and then making sure that I have it with the Stampin' Up! Logo on the top, I'm going to pass that through the machine with the hinge going in first. It's very important so you don't damage your folder. Now this might be, oh, it's not too bad. I thought it was going to be a little bit hard going through because the watercolor paper is so thick, but it went through perfectly. Okay, I'm done with this for the moment. And this is the finished result. So that's kind of cool. So I think you can see a little bit of that gold heat embossed shine. The light picks that up a little bit. And then you've got that kind of blotchy abstract background. So in a previous video, you saw me run the gold glimmer vellum through the embossing folder, and that actually came out looking just like honeycomb, which was very cool. But this is a very fun texture with a little bit of shine that you could use. You might want to experiment with some of the gilding flakes. That could give you an interesting effect. All right, so there is that. And then I have this scrap of Bumblebee. And where's my stamp set? Here's my other stamp set. I'm going to take this, and I think what I want to do is I want to stamp that on vellum. So let me get a piece of vellum. And again, actually I better cut this down a little bit first so it's easier to manage. All right, and I think what I want to do is I want to go back to my heat embossing. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mount this Emerson quote. Ooh, that's really stuck down there. I'm going to line this up on my block. So I'm just putting my block on the grid so I can see. Excuse my head getting into the camera here. That lined up. Little Versamark. Get my paper lined up. Give that a little press. Okay. Okay, here comes the heat gun again. So I'm just going to mute. And that came out really, really nice. Okay. I'm going to trim down this piece. So let me see. Trim this to 3.5. But first I think I need to take a little bit off the top. Let's just take a look at that. All right, it's going to come together something like that. Using plenty of glue because of the texture now on this paper. And this panel would be awesome on a box. So I may do more with something like this to decorate the top or sides of a box. And by the way, it feels really good. It has a great texture to it. I love this embossing folder. This will be one that I hang on to for a long time because I do like honeybees. I keep honeybees on occasion. I'm going to be starting up again in the spring. So I will have lots of reasons to use that. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put this down on my card base. I'm just going to get it even on the sides and just leave a little extra towards the bottom. Okay, and then what I want to do is I'm going to grab, I have a scrap here. Let me think. Thinking. I have a scrap here of the vellum. I'm going to do a little more experimenting. So let me get my pad back out again. This time I'm going to take these honeybees and I'm not actually sure which one I'll use, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp some multiples on here. I can't see where I put those. There we go. Okay. And then the big one. Maybe I could fit one more. This is a little sloppy stamping, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to cut these bees out. All right, so here we go again with the okay, I think that's it for the heat tool. And now I'm going to get my machine out again, and this time I'm going to switch to my regular plates. And I think because I am going to cut the vellum, I'm going to grab a piece of scrap paper as a shim. Okay, let's see. I hope you all have your coffee as I'm going through all this. All right, now I have to get my head in here a little bit to place these dies, so sorry if you can't see what I'm doing here. For those of you who don't know, I'm very nearsighted. Excuse me. And so I just want to make sure I get all these little honeybee legs. I don't want to remove any of the legs if I can help it. That one looks pretty good. Now the magnet's jumping a little bit. All right. That looks okay. Fingers crossed. Let's see how these come out. Oh, that's kind of interesting. It went right through the paper. All right, so I've got 3 little honeybees here. Before I do anything, I'm just going to place my dies back on my magnetic sheet so I don't lose them. Save this for another project. Okay. Let's see what this looks like. Oh, that's kind of pretty. Kind of pretty. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to begin with my glue dots. Might want to get a sip of coffee. Cheers, everybody. I hope you've got your coffee. I had a kind of a late night last night. It was the night of the Watercolor Card Club Zoom, and it was so much fun. I get so jazzed up by these things. I ended up afterwards so energized. I stayed up half the night, so a little extra coffee today is good. Okay, I'm going to put that up on the top. Just like so. And then this one here. I'm going to go ahead and take my glue dots and put them on the other side of the vellum. Get that placed. I need a couple more pieces. Oops. My glue dots are unraveling. Let's get rid of some of this extra paper. And then my big bee. Actually, I think I could use a couple of glue dots on this one. That's centered on there. Okay, and I think I could use a couple of little embellishments, but I kind of like the way it looks, sort of subtle like that. So there it is. Very pretty card with a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail. So I hope you enjoyed that today. Oh, I forgot the envelope. Let's not forget the envelope. I'm going to use some crumb cake ink for this. And my central bee. And I'm going to stamp that right in the middle. And I'll put another one on the inside for good luck. There we go. Okay, everybody, I hope you have a great weekend. And I hope I gave you some ideas. If I did, again, please post what you do below so I can see. I'm always excited to see what everybody does with some of these designs. Stay well, stay happy, stay creative, and I will see you next time.